Hello there, this is Alexandr from Sinesquares.net, and today we're going on a quest. And that is because we have the brand new BitQuest Eurorack Module by Dr. Scientist. The BitQuest is kind of a legendary multi-effects pedal by Dr. Scientist, and this year they decided to also release a Eurorack module with the exact same controls, but with the added functionality of modulation and all the things that Eurorack provides. So the difference between the pedal and the Eurorack module is that you have, of course, CV control over most of its parameters, and you also have a few additional controls. The module comes with the classic BitQuest colors, but a really cool detail is that you get an additional faceplate if you want to swap them, which is a grayscale faceplate, which is really cool, and I think I'm gonna switch to this one in the future. So yeah, an added bonus thing that I found to be quite cool. So in case you've never heard of the pedal, the BitQuest is a multi-effects module and a multi-effects pedal, and it comes with 8 different effects types. The effects are a flanger, a bit crusher, is a filter, a notch filter, a reverb, a ring modulation effect, a pitch shifter, and a delay. On top of that, you also have a fuzz circuit that you can activate on and off that adds a gritty, powerful fuzz to your sound and also changes how the controls work. The delay specifically is really nice on this module, and when you're using the fuzz, it's just a delay where you can add fuzz. But when you're in the clean mode, you have this knob here controlling the modulation, modulating the time, creating some pitch shifting. You have to find the sweet spots. The BitQuest is a mono module, so you only get one input, but you also have like an input trim where you can control the volume of your incoming signal into the module. You also have a volume control for your wet signal, a tone control, and of course your dry-wet mix. In terms of outputs, you get a dry output, a wet output, and of course your mix output. The multiple outputs are very useful because you can do some parallel processing with the module. You can do all sorts of routing with your incoming signal and the wet signal. I'm not really into doing video manual type of videos, so I'm not going to go through every control that the BitQuest has, but we are going to listen to all of the effects with different signals so you can understand how this module sounds. So in terms of controls, you have, of course, the fuzz on and off that we talked about before. You also have a resolution knob, which is the res knob, so it's not resonance, as you might expect, which adjusts the system's resolution going from 20 kilohertz to 44 kilohertz. I'm not really sure what this thing means, but if you play around with it, you'll understand that less resolution, it means that you have more of a lo-fi sound, and when you have this maxed out, you get like the most of your incoming signal without having artifacts and this lo-fi nature. For each effect, you have 3 controls. You have control 0, 1, and 2, and they're doing different things for each effect. And also when you have the fuzz on, the control 0 adjusts the fuzz level, so you have only 2 controls for the effect. So keep in mind that when you change effects, everything changes, so you have to be careful where you're at. It's a bit tricky to always remember what everything does, but that's also the fun of it. I mean, you can experiment with the knobs, not really knowing what you're doing, but after a while, you're gonna get used to them. When you're starting out with a module, it's really useful to have this cheat sheet next to you where you can see what every knob is doing for each effect. And you also have the controls for when you have the fuzz on or when you have the fuzz off. So yeah, that was really helpful when I started playing with that module. The thing I really like about the BitQuest is that you get so many different effects on one single module. And since I don't think that I would spend money on buying just a flanger module, I think having the options is really cool, and you can experiment with some effects that you wouldn't probably buy. So yeah, that's the cool thing about multi-effects. You also get some of them that are not that common to get. So having, for example, the ring modulation, the flanger, the pitch shifter, it's really nice to be there for that one time that you want to use them. The fuzz circuit that is built in is really aggressive. Since this was a pedal and it was meant for guitar playing, it made a bit more sense having the fuzz circuit for a guitar sound. But when you're using synth sounds, you have to be careful with it because it gets wild pretty fast. So I don't think I ever went like above 11 o'clock on this knob, on the control of the gain. On the other hand, it's really cool and it's really aggressive, and yeah, I really like those distorted, powerful and fuzzy sounds sometimes, so yeah, having the option is really nice. So why not having the pedal instead of the module? Well, I think the answer is pretty clear. Dr. Scientist gave you full control over every effect parameter with CV. So for every single knob, you have a CV control and a modulation input. So yeah, using your modular and your LFOs or your envelopes, you can do some crazy effects that you wouldn't be able to do just by having a pedal. As I said before, another cool thing that they have is the multiple outputs. On this example, I'm having the dry going into the Milky Way by endorphins and the wet signal coming out of the modular. So you can have different effects on your dry signal and have the wet signal going into other effects, for example, which can be really cool, and you can generate some really massive sounds with just one input. Or you can even get super aggressive with your wet signal but still have your dry signal intact. So I'm really glad they decided to add all those outputs. It's not that common to have on a module, and I'm glad they did. BitQuest is such a fun and adventurous module. So many sounds to explore, a plethora of effects, crazy modulation options, and an overall great effects module. Since this was originally an effects pedal, many of the effects are mainly suited for the guitar sound, but if you get creative enough, you can use all of the effects with synth sounds. For this demo, I decided to use only synthesizer sounds, and I think that's the way most of you are going to use this on a Eurorack format, but I also know that there are a lot of people that use a guitar with their modular case as an effects pedal board, so this module can work either way. As with every multi-effects module or pedal, it will take some time to get familiar with all the controls for every single effect, so I encourage you to have the manual close by when you're playing with it for the first times, and that is something that you cannot really avoid with multi-effects. I truly think that for its very reasonable price, the BitQuest is a great option for a multi-effects Eurorack module. On top of the features and the multiple effects that you're getting, you also get some kind of vibe, some kind of sound that this module has, just like the pedal. It's definitely not your standard multi-effects pedal or module, and as you start exploring, you'll continuously have new sounds and new ideas coming out of it. So that was it. A huge thank you to Dr. Scientist for sending me this module. I'm really glad I have this on my effects case. And if you like this video, please leave a like or subscribe to the channel. You can ask me anything you want about it in the comments, and I hope to see you on the next one. Love you.